Samsung clearly believes it has a pretty good foundational structure for its premier folding device, and that's why the Z Fold 4 isn't radically different from the Galaxy Z Fold 3. That said, there are actually lots of small build and design differences, some of which you can plainly see while others are hidden beneath the frame. Folded, the device is still 67.1mm wide, but the shape of the product has changed so that from certain angles the hinge is less noticeable. The handset is 155.1mm long, which is almost 3 mm shorter than the Z Fold 3. This gives the device a more conventional phone shape rather than the odd-looking oblong shape of previous folds. More importantly, this is now a thinner and lighter device. Instead of the Galaxy Z Fold 3's 6.4mm thickness when unfolded, the double mode is now just 6.3mm thick. That's not a huge difference, but it also brings the weight down to 263 grams, 8 grams lighter than the Galaxy Z Fold 3. The buttons or ports are standard fare for a smartphone, but the folding design does mean the placement isn't typical. There is the SIM slot along the top edge, speaker and mic holes along one edge, a speaker grill, mic hole and USB-C port along the bottom, and on the other edge a volume rocker and power and sleep button that doubles as your fingerprint sensors, which happens to work quite nicely. I registered multiple fingers. The phone also supports Face ID biometrics, but you are warned that it's less secure than other methods. When folded, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 can feel a little thick and heavy in the hand compared to most other Android handsets. It's not uncomfortable though. Unfolded, this is a thin and light tablet. The main noticeable difference between it and, say, an iPad mini is that the bezel surrounding the screen has a tiny raised lip to keep the bendable screen covering in place and protected. The re-engineered hinge is a real highlight here. No longer does it stick out from the side of the phone when folded. Instead, it's hugging the frame thanks to a new hinge design that jettisoned the gears in favor of a flatter mechanical design. It looks great, and at least in the time we have been using this phone, it works smoothly. As you are bending the phone, it feels solid yet pliant, as if to reassure you, yes, this is what you are supposed to do with me. The frame is IPX8 rated, which means it will survive 30 minutes in 1 meter of water, but due to the hinge mechanics, it's not dust resistant. As in the main screen, there is a punch hole cutout for the selfie camera, although this one isn't hidden with magic pixels. Thanks to the new larger dimensions, this is now a genuinely usable and useful screen. It's not multitasking friendly, but it's good for email, web browsing, chat apps, social media, and as a viewfinder for the camera array on the back. Overall, we are pleased with the updated cover display, which gives the whole device a more traditional handset look and feel. The cover screen has also gotten an upgrade. It's still a 6.2-inch dynamic AMOLED screen, but now it's 2.7mm wide. The cover screen has also gotten an upgrade. It's still a 6.2-inch dynamic AMOLED screen with 2316 into 904 resolution compared to the Z Fold 3's 2268 into 832 resolution, but now it's 2.7mm wider than the cover screen on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. It also has an adaptive refresh rate, though in this case it's 48Hz to 120Hz. As on the main screen, there is a punch hole cutout for the selfie camera, although this one isn't hidden with magic pixels. Thanks to the new larger dimensions, this is now a genuinely usable and useful screen. It's not multitasking friendly, but it's good for email, web browsing, chat apps, social media, and as a viewfinder for the camera array on the back. Overall, we are pleased with the updated cover display, which gives the whole device a more traditional handset look and feel. As with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3, which used the Samsung Galaxy S21's camera array, the Z Fold 4 adapts its main camera array from the Galaxy S22. It has the same sensors underneath, though they are backed by a slightly more powerful CPU here and the same lenses. There is also a selfie camera on the cover screen and a low-grade selfie camera under the large main screen. Here is the full list of cameras: 12 megapixel ultra wide with 123-degree field of vision, f2.2 aperture, 50 megapixel wide f1.8 aperture, 10 megapixel telephoto with f2.4 aperture, and cover has 8 megapixel f2.2 aperture, and main screen has 4 megapixel f1.8 aperture focus length. All of these cameras are quite good, especially the triple array, matching the expectations we built after reviewing the Samsung Galaxy S22. The light gathering capabilities are exceptional, the colors pop maybe a tiny bit too much, but that's Samsung for you, and the portrait mode is exquisite. 3x optical zoom is effective, and the digitally assistant and optically and digitally stabilized space zoom is also quite good. Low light and night photography are also impressive. Slight disappointment sets in though when you consider that your $1,799 folding phone doesn't have the best cameras Samsung has to offer. You will find those on the stellar Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, so there is no 108 megapixel main camera or a 10x optical zoom here, and space zoom tops out at 30x. The selfie camera on the cover screen is good, and the one on the main screen is better than serviceable. We used it for photos, and in a Google Meet session there are lots of video recording options all the way up to 8K 60 fps, although that's only useful if you have a good 8K TV to display it. 4K video looks great, and you can also record in slow-mo. The camera app offers quick access to a wide array of shooting options, including Pro mode, which lets you control settings such as shutter speed and white balance. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, feel free to share it to friends and keep watching Best Buy to get your top-notch day-to-day commodities.